Hey YouTube, this is Hypergon, back again for another frickin' video. Oh my god. Okay, so as I'm sure most of you have noticed, Konami has finally decided to post our TCG ban list. And yeah, it's a weird one. I truthfully cannot, from any perspective, understand what Konami was thinking. Either financially to sell cards, or just to make the game more balanced. They screwed up completely. But how bad could it really be? Well, let's take a look, shall we? First up on the forbidden list, we have one new card. Just one. Is it Vanity's Emptiness like everyone hoped it was? No, of course not. Super Polymerization is now banned. Yeah. Why? Because of Shadalls, obviously. And as you know, of the three decks, they are clearly the superior one, outmatching both Burning Abyss and Cleaveforce in every matchup. Said no one ever. Seriously, Konami, why would you ban this? Especially with the new hero structure deck coming out, that's not going to make people want to play it anymore. Neither is the fact that, and get this, Stratos is still banned. For no reason at all. So Stratos is banned. And we still have our good old... Now we have Super Poly banned too. So, yeah, no one's going to be playing the hero structure decks unless they have no idea how heroes work and they're just trying to get into the game. But for the people that we were thinking were going to do it, you know, all the people that were going to actually be interested in playing heroes again, yeah, no, they're not doing it anymore. Not now that their ace card has been taken from what little they had. And mind you, Shadalls are for the most part still untouched by that. The only thing that they really used that for was against certain matchups to get some of the more bizarre Shadal fusions. The good ones they still have found ways to put in there, and if nothing else, they have Shadal Core. So this has accomplished nothing, really, other than neutering heroes for good. Next up, we move on to the limited list, where, again, they are basically specifically focusing on Shadalls. The only thing, the main monster that they limited was Artifact Moral Attack. That I'm okay with. I hate the Artifact engine beyond all else. It's infuriating to deal with, it's too easy to use, and there's no reason not to, quite honestly. If you can do it, you should just do it, especially in Shadalls, it works wonderfully. But now that Moral Attack is limited, it's not as consistent as it used to be, it's not as useful, so again, they're just neutering Shadalls, which is only addressing one of the three problem decks, and honestly, what I can see this doing is it puts the Shadalls probably closer to Satellar Knights in terms of how they perform, especially when we get the Necros coming out. That's just basically going to replace Shadalls in terms of the top three decks. We're still going to have Burning Abyss and Cleaveforce, but we're just, instead of Shadalls, now going to have the Necros in their place. Which, quite honestly, Shadalls were kind of dying out anyway. You don't hear about them as... They're still a problem, but not as... Especially after this now. And that's basically it on that. Shocker, we got Darkstrike Fighter back after his errata. It was inevitable that we were going to get him back. But then, for some reason, they decided, hey, you know what banned card is totally fair? Snatch Steal. Yeah, okay, so you're just going to let us take a monster for free? Well, no, it's not for free. It's an equip spell, and during each of your opponent's standby phases, they gain 1,000 life points. So that's totally fair. No. No one who runs this card is going to plan on holding on to that monster for longer than a turn. You're either going to take something really big and game them with it, or you're going to use it for a Synchro or an Xyz or whatever. You're not going to be holding on to that monster long enough for them to get the additional life points. And even so, most people actually want to play things like Upstart Goblin that already do that, so quite honestly, who the frick cares? The only real downside of this card is that it's an equip spell, so you can just MST and be done with it. But even then, that's still really not that big of a deal. I don't feel like this card needed to come off the ban list. I know they're trying to take some cards off the ban list, but I feel like this should have been a later one. There's definitely other cards that were banned that should have come off way before this. That's it for the limited section. Now we have the semi-limited section. This for me is where it's like at the pinnacle of how bizarre this list is. Honest is now at 2. So I know there's not a whole lot of big light-based decks. Most of them are dark. But at the same time, you know, you still have those decks that can do it. Satellar Knights are a thing. Boojins, albeit not as much, are still a thing. And now they have 2 Honest. Satellar Knights really don't need an Honest, but this just gives them the extra attack boost, and it's a light deck, so why the hell not? And then with Boojins, this basically gives them 5 Cranes. You know, the 3 Cranes that they run, and now 2 Honest. I don't understand what they were thinking with that. It's an unnecessary boost. Honest was great at 1, and I don't think he needed to be any more than that. They also put Goyo Guardian at 2. Big whoop, I really don't see that changing anything. And Dark Hole is now at 2. Apparently Konami's really getting off on the idea of monster destruction this time. We now have a Raigeki and 2 Dark Holes. I really don't understand why they did. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with it for the most part. I'm actually taking advantage of that in what decks I can. But I still don't understand why they would do that. It makes no sense. I mean, yes, the top 3 decks don't give a crap about it, but at the same time, that's not healthy to have that much mass monster destruction. Now, even if you do Dark Hole your opponent, they know you still have another one in the wake, and vice versa. If you get Dark Hole, you know there could still be another one, so mass special summoning is still at risk. I really don't know what they're trying to do with this one. It makes no sense to me, but I've never really understood how Konami works with a lot of these ban lists. They've been kind of wonky, but anyway, the Unlimited section is actually kind of understandable. I don't have any real issues with this. Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind is at 3. Mermail Abyss Gund is at 3. Reborn Tengu's at 3. Reasoning's at 3. And Transmigration Prophecy is at 3. Again, that's all alright. Maybe we'll start seeing some more Blackwings and Mermails may come back. Reborn Tengu's pretty cool. I could definitely see that being used in a lot of decks. And Reasoning and Transmigration Prophecy aren't really that big of a deal. I mean, they're alright, but them being at 3 doesn't really change anything. But that's it for what's included. However, there's some things that they did not take off. You remember in my ban list prediction how I figured they were going to support the 3 decks that were going to be getting support in the next booster pack? Those would be the Heroes, which I've already addressed, and then that just left Dragunity and Windups. Since we're getting Draguni Spear of Destiny and Windups and Maintenance, it made sense that they would take the cards that affected them most off the ban list, that being Windup Carrier Zenmagi and Dragon Ravine. It's not like those cards would have made a big difference anyway. It would let those decks be good again, quite honestly. And they're both still banned. For no real reason at all. Other than just Konami doesn't know what they're doing with this game anymore. Like I said, I really, for the life of me, cannot understand what they were thinking when they made this ban list. There's, like, other than Moraltech and the Synchros, I really don't understand what they were doing with it. None of the hits really make that much sense, either financially or just from a gameplay perspective. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird list, and unfortunately it does mean that for those of us who don't run the top 3 decks, we're going to have to deal with another 3 months of Burning Abyss and Qliforts being at full strength. And we're going to have the Necros coming in later, so yeah, we don't have to worry about Shaddoll's as much anymore, but who cares? They were the lower end of the top 3 anyway, and now they're just probably going to be over with the Satellar Knights, who, while not the best, are still infuriating to deal with if you're not running a good deck. But that's all I got on this one. Hopefully next time Konami will get their act together and actually give us a sensible ban list. And until next time, this is Hypergon. Peace.